Good morning, everyone. This is Andrew Rodman with Western Marketing. Looks like it's 10 o'clock, and we're going to get this thing kicked off and started for you guys right on time so that we can get you guys back to your day. Wanted to welcome everybody and say thanks again for attending. We've got Seth Groff with Surebridge, and we've got a new guaranteed issue hospital indemnity plan for you. It's really shaking up the market. It's going to be great for you guys as agents and great for your clients. They'll offer them another product here. So few housekeeping things. If you can see at the bottom right of your screen or wherever you have your go-to webinar settings, there is a chat box there. If you can type your questions there, if you have any, we'll either answer them as we go, but more than likely we'll wait until the end of the webinar to go ahead and run through those questions that you have. If you don't get your question answered during this webinar, I will reach out to you, or I'll have one of my associates reach out to you directly to make sure that your question is answered. So with further ado, I'm going to get Seth Groff here to take over the reins and get things going. We got about 35 minutes here, and we're going to learn a little bit about the new hospital indemnity plan we got with Surebridge.
All right, well, thanks, Andrew, and thanks everyone for jumping on the call. As you can see, it says new guaranteed issue HospitalWise. In full transparency, the product actually isn't new. We launched our HospitalWise product back in 2019. We've had a lot of success selling it. Just to put it into perspective, we actually issued about 40,000 applications in 2021. So the product's been around in the marketplace. We've had a lot of success with it, but we kind of saw that we were missing one aspect of this plan, and that was some guaranteed issue benefits available. And so that's what we're going to talk about here today. We're going to talk about the new guaranteed issue thresholds. We'll kind of explain the markets where we see this being a fit, and give you some tips on how to present it to your clients. But really, the market for HospitalWise, and we all know this, the out-of-pocket costs with healthcare is a real crisis in the United States. In fact, I went out to Google and I typed in out-of-pocket healthcare crisis, and I received 19 million results in just under a second. So there's plenty of people out there talking about how consumers should handle this financial risk, and there's also plenty of consumers out there searching for answers on how they should handle these risks. So really, HospitalWise has already been helping clients in both the under 65 market and over 65 market, cover deductibles, co-insurance, or in the over 65 market, covering co-pays associated with Medicare Advantage plans. So, what markets do these new GI benefits really open up in these already existing market? And first, I always like to talk about the under 65 market, where, just the people that don't want to answer health questions. If you think about it, someone enrolling in an ACA plan in the under 65 market, they can go out, get that plan. We usually have $2 million worth of benefit, and they don't have to answer any health questions, right? And so now if an agent has to come, follow up with that and now talk about a hospital indemnity plan and, ask a bunch of questions, some consumers are just like, nah, I don't want to do that. And so we just see kind of a trend in the marketplace where ancillary products need to follow suit with the core products and offer GI benefits. And so that's one market that we're really excited about. Then also, in the over 65 market, if you're selling Medicare Advantage plans, you want to try to cover those co-pays. The reality is that in that over 65 market, people have health issues. A lot of people, will qualify on the simplified issue basis, but I use my dad as an example. My dad had a heart attack, and it's within the 5-year look back on the simplified issue basis. And so before we had the guaranteed issue benefits, he wouldn't have been eligible for this plan. And he's healthy, right? Like 2 weeks ago, or 2 or 3 weeks ago, I guess it was back in August, we were up on the roof of his machine shed putting in new skylights, and so he's still getting around really good for being 69. Probably outwork everyone on the call here today, but prior to the GI benefits, he wouldn't have been eligible for HospitalWise. And so I think we're really opening up a market for those people in that over 65 market that might have had some health issues, but are still relatively healthy and looking for ways to protect against those out-of-pocket costs. And so the theme today is I'll just continue to talk about covering the out-of-pocket costs. And I'm a firm believer that we have a duty as an agent to educate our clients on what their solutions are, or what their options are to pay for out-of-pocket costs, because really they have, you know, different options. And if you walk them down through their different options, a lot of times they realize that ancillary products, or HospitalWise in this situation, might make the most sense. So how can, you know, consumers pay for out-of-pocket costs? Well, first of all, cash flow, right? If they're under 65, that'd be their paycheck. Over 65, that'd be their retirement income, or probably just Social Security. But the question I like to ask is how much is left over after each pay period? And the answer probably isn't not much. So most people can't pay for out-of-pocket costs of healthcare with their cash flow. So the second thing we look at is savings, right? And I have a stat from an article that was out on NASDAQ that says 69% of Americans have less than $1,000 in savings. And so, you know, with those previous numbers I just showed, there's obviously going to be a disconnect there where they don't have enough money in savings to pay for those out-of-pocket costs. Plus, it's probably not ear-hold for, you know, it's probably not out there designed for, you know, healthcare costs. It's probably saving for maybe a kid's education, or a wedding, or a vacation. And so, you know, savings usually isn't a good option. Otherwise, loan, credit card, banks don't give loans to cover healthcare costs, and credit cards just make a situation worse due to the high interest rates. So most people avoid that as well. You know, we always talk about fundraisers, and you know, I'm over here in Nebraska, just, you know, real close to Western Marketing's office over there in Iowa. And I don't know if you know, Andrew, they do these over there, but here over in Nebraska, small town, the kind of the fundraisers are cornhole tournaments now. And so, you know, they're great. The bar has them. A lot of people go there. You have a couple beers, but they always fall short, you know, in raising enough money to cover their costs. And plus, I just always, you know, say, you know, I don't want my clients in, you know, their strategy to be relying on a cornhole tournament. So, you know, the fundraisers typically aren't a good idea. So the last option, obviously ancillary products. And, you know, the whole concept here is it might make sense, you know, paying 30, 40, 50 bucks a month to purchase an ancillary plan that's going to help cover some of those major out-of-pocket costs associated with healthcare. And so, what we're here to talk about today is HospitalWise and the guaranteed issue benefits. You can see here that these GI benefits are available all issue ages 0 to 90. Up here on the screen, this does a good job of laying out what the guaranteed issue thresholds are. As long as you stay under those thresholds, there will not be any health questions or height weight on the application. Okay, so 0 to 90, stay within those thresholds, you're good to go, no health questions on the app. If any of those benefits are above the thresholds, and so that would be in the far right column, it goes to simplified issue. Our simplified issue is still pretty streamlined. You just have to answer the questions truthfully and favorably on the app, and they're issued. But if you want no health questions, keep it under those GI thresholds, and there won't be any health questions on the app. So that's what we're really excited about. And if you look at those thresholds, you're going to see that, you know, they're going to cover the copays associated with most Medicare Advantage plans. And so they might not cover all of them, but they're going to be close on most of them. And so that's really what we designed it for. And we're really excited that we were able to bring that to you to all issue ages 0 to 90 year round. So I'm really excited for that. But up on the screen here are going to be kind of the nuts and bolts. We already talked about underwriting. If you're within those GI thresholds, no health questions. Otherwise, it kicks it to true simplified, only question on the app, never MIB, no script check, no phone interview. Basically, you're in or you're out based on the questions on the app. This does have a pre-X 6-month look back for the first 6 months of the plan in most states. That's for both GI and also for simplified issue as well. Now, I'm going to be very clear here. This is not an impaired risk product. In order for this to, you know, be successful, is that, you know, we need a good mix of, you know, clients here. And so we'll kind of talk about that later on, you know, what our expectations are from an agent. But outside of that pre-X, there's no waiting period. So accidents are covered immediately, and, you know, even health issues that aren't pre-existing condition are covered immediately as well. And this product does have a one-time application fee, but if you're enrolling multiple people on one product, or if you happen to be enrolling multiple products, just remember it's one app fee. The way the plan works is you start with the daily benefit, and you can see what the thresholds are up there. Those are all the benefits. I don't have it breaking out on these slides for GI, but first you select the daily benefit and benefit period. And built into that, there's an observation benefit, which is huge. You know, we're seeing more and more individual or doctors, you know, they're kind of hesitant to actually admit people into the hospital just due to what's covered, on their Medicare. And so they hold them for observation. Well, the good news is that as long as that client hits that 12th hour of observation, now it's not good news that they're being held for observation, but it is good news that our hospital indemnity plan would pay the same as if they were hospitalized after they hit that 12-hour mark. They don't get a double dip there. And so, you know, if hour 13, they're actually admitted to the hospital, they'd only get one daily benefit, but that is a nice addition. And then also, you know, mental nervous issues continue to be a big issue in this country. You know, if they end up being hospitalized due to a mental nervous disorder, it'll pay up to $250 a day for a maximum of 7 days. And that's built into the plan as well. So after you select the hospital confinement daily benefit and benefit period, now it's time to look at riders. And, you know, we have this set up kind of an a la carte. So I'll kind of talk about the ones we see in the under 65 market and the ones we see in the over 65 market. The lump sum hospital confinement rider, that one's primarily in the under 65 market and really designed to take that bigger chunk out of that deductible. Sometimes I see this in the over 65 market, but usually, you know, we can cover that need with the daily benefit. But the way that works, it just pays that benefit the first time they're confined during the year or they're confined to the year. So you know, usually that'll be a higher amount, take a bigger chunk of that out of that deductible. Outpatient surgery rider, we see this in both the under 65 and over 65 market, just pays that benefit if they have outpatient surgery. You know, and that can be from sickness or injury. Skilled nursing facility rider, this is definitely one we see only or primarily in the over 65 market. A lot of times the MA plans do have that copay for stay in a skilled nursing facility rider following a hospitalization. So we can, you know, select that daily benefit. And then a lot of times we're going to see that benefit period of days 21 through 100. And so that's nice that we can dial that in there. Emergency care rider, this is one of our more popular riders just due to utilization. They can receive that benefit that they select up to 4 times a year. It does need to be an emergency room tied to a hospital, but it's not contingent on hospitalization. So it's sickness or injury. So you're at home, you're cooking dinner, you cut your finger and you need to go get stitches, that'll pay for that. And so it's not contingent on hospitalization. From a cost perspective, I think it's priced pretty competitive as well. And so it's one that we see added on both under and over 65 market. Ambulance rider pays that benefit for a trip in the ambulance, and outpatient major diagnostic rider pays that benefit for any of those exams listed there. So the guaranteed issue benefits, we launched them on September 16th. So that was on Friday. A couple of things, there's no change in premiums. It's the same premiums that were available, you know, since 2019 on a simplified issue basis. There's no change in commission levels either. So we pay the same if it's GI or simplified issue as well. And remember that you can sell this year round on all issue ages, the guaranteed issue thresholds. Up here on the screen here is the straight state rollout map. You can see we got most states launched on Friday. We have the next wave of states coming out on the 14th, so a day before AEP. You know, don't wait till the 14th to familiarize yourself with this product. If, you know, your state isn't going to be available until there, then remember the plan, if all the states other than the white ones, this plan is already available. All this is saying is that, hey, this is when the GI benefits are going to be available. So the GI benefits won't be available in like Iowa, South Dakota, North Dakota, Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, Utah until the 14th, but that doesn't mean wait, right? Familiarize yourself with it now. You actually can write it on a simplified issue basis. And if there's someone that, you know, might not qualify, then wait till the 14th to write them. But that's kind of what the state rollout map looks like. We already talked about this a little bit. 6-month look back for the first 6 months of the policy, treated or diagnosed with any condition. 6 months leading up, it wouldn't be eligible for benefits for the first 6 months. Outside of that, it's going to receive the benefit. And, you know, I just really try to put an emphasis on this is not an impaired risk. We need a good mix of business. And, you know, so our ask of you in order to make this successful is offer it to all your clients, right? Don't go prospect at like the cancer facility or something like that, right? See the need in this, offer it to all your clients, and we'll be able to make this successful. And we're real excited to be able to offer this to the clients. As far as if you go simplified underwriting, this is going to be the knockout conditions and the look back periods. So if you get above those GI thresholds, these would be the questions on the application. If you don't want to, again, if you don't want to ask questions on the app, then just stay within those GI thresholds. So looking at the senior market and the opportunity, we're primarily, positioning this with Medicare Advantage plans. We see more and more people enroll in the MA plans. It's getting closer and closer to 50% compared to, traditional Medicare Part A, Part B. Be interesting to see when it does cross that threshold, or if it ever does. But there's plenty of people to talk to about this plan, because there's plenty of people enrolling in Medicare Advantage plans. When they enroll in Medicare Advantage plans, we know that there's going to be copays. There are going to be maximum out of pockets with that, but on an average in 2021, $5,000 was the maximum out of pocket for in-network, $9,000 was the maximum out of pocket for out-of-network services. And some people say, well, that's not really that high, but when we go back and we look, that 69% of Americans have less than $1,000 in savings. My question is, how are they going to pay for that, right? If your senior clients are living Social Security check, they're going to have issues, writing a check for $5,000. And so the solution here is to talk about HospitalWise to do that. Now, even with those stats, I know there's going to be some agents that still won't sell hospital indemnity plans with Medicare Advantage plans. I'm out there, not saying they're against the concept, but I give this training, and last week on Friday I was giving this presentation in live to probably 100 agents. I asked them how many had enrolled in a Medicare Advantage, or had enrolled a client in a Medicare Advantage plan, and I bet 90% of that audience raised their hand. And then I asked, what percentage of that have they offered a hospital indemnity plan? And I think there was like maybe 5 or 6 people that were consistently selling hospital indemnity plans. So my point is that this is a concept that a lot of agents aren't doing. And hopefully I just kind of like to walk you through and maybe get you to overcome the doubts that you have in selling these plans. So the 4 biggest objections I get from agents is they believe that the Medicare Advantage is enough because of the maximum out-of-pocket limits. They are used to selling $0 zero plan premiums, and asking for a premium is a skill they haven't developed. They're unsure how to compliantly position HI with the Medicare sell. And then, training on a new product and submission process is just a deterrent. So, when we look at, agents that believe Medicare Advantage plans are enough, I always say, who's deciding, right? Your job as an agent isn't just to decide for the client. Your job is to educate them on what their options are, then let them decide. So if you're deciding that a HIP plan doesn't make sense, and not, educating the client that it's available, I think you're doing a disservice. Also, when you're going through your presentation, make sure that they know what their maximum out of pocket on the plan is. And, your follow-up is going to have strategies about how to pay for those maximum out of pocket, right? The big ones, I always say, it's either cash or ancillary products. We walked through those 5 at the beginning, but really it's either you're going to pay for out of pocket, or we can look at protecting with the ancillary product. But your overall goal is just to present HI as a lower monthly cost alternative than having to pay for the maximum out of pocket all at once. This is a big one. You might be used to selling $0 premiums or a lot lower premiums. I always challenge the agent and say, are you an order taker or are you a valued professional? Set expectation up front that any monthly premium savings should be used to create the best coverage. And then also look at the big picture, right? You can't just focus on the premium. You also have to talk about receiving care. And, when we talk about receiving care, we're talking about maximum out of pocket, specifically copays, right? So you need to be talking about, what that cost would look like. Also, if you're selling an MA plan and, it has over-the-counter benefits, or there's dental vision benefits or flex cards built into the plan, talk about all that savings that those additional benefits are going to create, and maybe you can use a portion of that savings to offset with the hospital indemnity premium, or maybe you have some savings if based on their prescriptions by moving them to a plan. So anytime you can save them money with the plan that you're offering, make sure you're making it clear that any of that savings should be used or should consider to be used to cover the out-of-pocket costs associated with the plan. So the big thing is just remember, look at the big picture, both premiums and receiving care. Then finally, educate and let the client decide. That's what your job is to educate and let the client decide. And so if you just make sure that they're aware that the HIP plan is available, and they understand how it might offset some of those costs, you're doing your job, and that's all I can ask. As from a compliance standpoint, remember it starts with the scope of appointment. So make sure you're starting there. The client should make note of any cost sharing expenses that might be a hardship. I always recommend that agent makes note of that as well, and so when you're going through the maximum amount of pocket, kind of walk them through there and make, ask them which ones they're primarily concerned about. Make sure they understand the concept of insurance. Our goal is to protect against events that we hope don't happen but might. And then finally, the goal is always to minimize out-of-pocket costs, and that includes both premium and receiving care. And then the final one, training on a new product and enrollment process. I get it, right? Writing this plan is going to be more work. If you want to make more money, you're going to have to do more work, but we're going to make it as easy as possible for agents to write this. So first of all, we have the guaranteed issue benefits available. Stay within those GI thresholds. There's no health questions on the app. So basically all you have to enter is the basic demographic information and a couple qualifying questions, and that's it. The app is dramatically shorter if you stay within those guaranteed issue thresholds, and so you're probably saving 5-10 minutes because you don't have to ask all those health questions. Leverage what we call the HospitalWise Senior Plan Builder, which I'll show you what that looks like in a couple more slides. And then we have templates as well, and so some people, they say, in my zip code I only have 2 plans. Great, create some templates, then you go into the software and it will automatically pull it up for you, making it easy. So the enrollment process now with the GI is pretty easy. So yeah, you have to take some time to learn about the product. We're doing that today. Maybe go brush up, spend another 30 minutes, but the enrollment process, we got it streamlined now if you stay within those GI benefits. Benefits for you, the agent, obviously increase your revenue per client. The cost of doing business is going up, right? First of all, business or client acquisition costs continue to rise, lead costs, for example. Also, your commissions, you're just due to inflation, your typical commissions don't have the same buying power that they did a year or two ago, right? Because everything costs more. And so we're all looking for ways to increase our revenue, and this is one of the easiest way to do so is by offering hospital indemnity plans to clients that you're already enrolling. Able to sell year round. So if you're like, you know what, I don't want to do it AAP, I don't recommend that. I think it's easier to sell these when you're selling the Medicare Advantage plans, but you can sell them year round. So you can go back to clients and sell them if you don't offer it to them when you sell the Medicare Advantage. It's going to improve persistency, which is awesome. Lead to referrals, which is awesome. And then also, I always say business development, right? You can get a sell even if they are on the correct MA plan, right? You talk to someone, they're on an MA plan, it doesn't make sense changing them, or they're happy with their current agent. You always can create that wedge there by asking if they have a hospital indemnity plan. And if they don't, you can get a sell where, before this, you'd have to walk away. So up on the screen here, this is the concept, right? This is what it looks like. On the left-hand side is a typical Medicare Advantage plan and the copays associated with it. On the right-hand side is a solution that we offered. Now, we kept these within the GI thresholds, and you can see we covered all of them except for the ambulance service. Ambulance service was $255. We bumped that down to $200 to stay within the GI thresholds. Obviously, you could go $300, but then it would kick it in a simplified issue. But that's kind of what I'm seeing with this plan. We're able to cover, I guess, major diagnostics. This particular plan was 0 to 225, depending on the exam. But the point is that if you stick with those GI thresholds, you're still going to be able to cover most of the copays, and it's just a great product. As I mentioned earlier, in our software, we do have a HospitalWise Senior Plan Builder. If you're familiar with CSG Actuarial, very similar. It's in our plan, allows you to pull up the plan carrier, the plan type, and based on the copays, it makes a recommendation. If you like what it looks like, you click Update Selected Plan, and it actually auto-fills it for you, the agent. So you don't have to go out there and adjust these. Now, what I will say is there's not a guaranteed issue option. So we're always going to quote the optimum amount. And so if you wanted to keep this within GI thresholds, you'd need to make some adjustments, right? This is $400. We need to lower that to $350. ambulance rider is 300, we'd need to lower that to 200, then we'd be within those GI thresholds. So we don't have the functionality in our software now to automatically do that. But the good news is that right here in our software, it shows you what the GI thresholds are. And so I can't remember if this is below or above. It's out there right now though. So it's like, hey, here are the GI benefits. If you want to stay within these GI levels, you can adjust them. So we put the information real easy out there for you to access. It's just a great way if you forget what the GI thresholds are. So that's the over 65 market. Just real quick, under 65 market. You know the drill. ACA plans have high maximum out-of-pocket costs. Length the stay in the hospital can be lengthy, and again, a lot of people don't have savings. I went out. This was 7 years ago. I actually had a hospital indemnity plan. I ended up in a hospital. So I did have a hospital indemnity plan. It was with the previous carrier, so I did receive a payout. But I went back and see what it would have looked like for me back then, and how the payout would have worked. Based on what I incurred. And so on the left hand side, this was a 35-year-old, all GI thresholds. Okay, so I just maxed out the GI thresholds, and I was able to get the max there for $26.02 a month. And then on the right hand side, I actually did it a little bit different. I kicked it up to simplified issue, but I lowered the daily benefit to only $50 a day, but then I increased the lump sum hospital confinement rider. I also increased the outpatient surgery rider and the emergency care rider to 500, and I was able to get that for $33.69 a month. So I wanted to do kind of side-by-side comparison and then go through a claims example that how it would have paid for me personally when I was 35. So I ran a marathon and I finished the marathon, but I was really dehydrated, and when I crossed the line, the finish line, I passed out. Woke up in the emergency tent at the actual marathon. They had an IV in me. They said if I get through 2 IVs, I was good to go. About 10 minutes after I woke up, I started going into convulsions because I was just completely depleted of electrolytes and dehydrated. So, they put me in an ambulance. They took me to the emergency room. At a hospital, as soon as I was at that emergency room, they ran my blood test. Everything was out of whack. So they admitted me in the hospital. I started feeling pretty good, but then that night, my vitals started going all out of whack. I actually had the heart doctor visit me at like 2 in the morning. They ran EKG, other heart tests, and so 24 hours later, I was better, but I had some pretty big bills. And so, based just on everything that I received that one day when I was in the hospital, if I stuck with the GI solution, I would have received the base policy, the lump sum confinement, the ambulance rider, the emergency care rider, diagnostic rider, and so I would have received $1,100 worth of benefits, which would have, not covered everything, but I wouldn't have turned that away, right? If I went with that simplified issue solution where, I increased the lump sum confinement rider, I would have received the daily benefit of 50, the lump sum confinement rider of 1,000, ambulance rider of 200, ER rider of 500, and major diagnostic rider. So now would have been at 1,950. And so I just like showing this because it kind of helps you understand how the plan would pay. And it's a personal, to me, because I did have money in a health savings account, but I pretty much drained my health savings account. So then I was nervous, what if something else happened to me real soon? So, having this in place would have been definitely would have been beneficial. So that's an under 65 example. Conversation, first off, have you put any thought into a strategy to pay for your out-of-pocket costs associated with your health care? Typically they'll say no. I just say, that's okay. A lot of people had not thought about a strategy before working with me. After I showed them the benefits of purchasing a HospitalWise plan, in addition to their healthcare plan, they were able to eliminate some of the financial risk. I'll show you how a customized HospitalWise plan would work for your current situation, and then you can decide if it makes sense. Of course, it's up to you, right? Just remember, we're educating them on what their out-of-pocket costs are, and then talking to them about strategies. As far as objections, I can't afford it. It's expensive. I always tell them, acknowledge that their concern and let them know that your goal is to reduce financial stress, not create it. Emphasize any savings you created for them, with their core plan. And then remember that they know you have flexibility in designing a plan. Something is better than nothing. And so if the, original amount is too much, then don't be afraid to, lower the benefits and get them something better than nothing. I will self-insure, right? They look at the maximum out of pocket of 5,000 and they're like, that's no big deal. Typically, that's going to be your more affluent client. And I always tell people to pivot to critical illness. I'm not talking about Surebridge's CI today, but it actually has issue ages up to 90 as well, not GI, but it does have issue ages up to 90 as well. And so I always kind of play in their ego and say, a lot of our other affluent clients opted not to do HospitalWise, but they like the benefit of critical illness, because then they can just ensure that they can go get the care they need, especially if, someone's not in their network, the doctor that they want to go see if they get diagnosed with cancer. So, my takeaways for you, number one, commit to selling ancillary products. I was talking to Andrew before the call today. We are 25 days away from AEP. Still time to get familiar with these, and now's the time to learn them, get familiar with them. And I always tell people, practice your presentation, right? When in your presentation are you going to bring up ancillary products? Practice it, because if you don't, and then AEP or OEP gets here, you're not going to do it, right? Now's the time when you need to be practicing. Make a list of prospects, right? If you didn't offer ancillary products or they didn't qualify for ancillary products because of health conditions, now you can go back to them, talk to them about HospitalWise, and then just start bringing it up with all of your new products. That goes back to number two, practice your presentation, make it part of it, educate everyone. Don't second guess that you don't think someone's going to want them. And then finally, present, evaluate, and adjust, right? It takes practice, but I can tell you this. One of our best agents that I have that sells Hospital Indemnity Plan, he's closing about 80%, okay? He presents it to all of his senior clients, and he has about an 80 to 85% taken rate with it. And so the point is, he just has it part of his presentation. He does it right after he shows them what their copays are, and just basically, like I said, says you can pay for this out of pocket, or we can look at what it would cost to cover it with insurance. And just the way he does it, he just has a tremendous close ratio. So with Andrew, that's what I had prepared today. So if there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them at this time.
Absolutely, Seth. I appreciate it, man. You kind of flew through that, and I think there's some good valid points that you made. Number one is just education. Medicare or even underage is, it's confusing for them for their insurance. So your job as an insurance agent is to educate and show them those holes in coverage. And I think it's, your duty as an advisor or as an insurance agent to show them an opportunity to fill those gaps in coverage that they have, those out-of-pocket costs. If you don't do it during the presentation, then we got to make it a habit to at least do it after the presentation if you're too busy during AEP, for two reasons. Number one, just to make sure your clients are covered and they know they have that opportunity. But for you as an agent too, we don't want that agent or that client coming back to you guys and say, well, you didn't tell me this. You didn't tell me that I had a copay to go to the hospital. You didn't tell me I had, 20% coinsurance for chemotherapy, radiation, that type of stuff. So it is education. Surebridge makes it super simple with their tool where you can basically fill those gaps in coverage and a recommended amount. So that makes it super easy for you guys to be able to offer them to your clients. Let's go into some of the questions here. Product state availability. We did show a screenshot of that, and I took a screenshot, and you guys will get an email with a recording of this, and I'll put the state availability list in there for you. Asking about underwriting questions. Seth, can you go back to the slide that's there again about underwriting questions?
Yep. So remember,
just so that we have that.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect.
That's what's
so we've got
above the simplified issue threshold, or excuse me, above the GI thresholds.
GI threshold. So there's it is. You can take a picture of that if you'd like. If you got your cell phone ready to go. Otherwise, I can, you can always call here and we can get you an underwriting guide as well for you. Yeah, I agree. There's a statement here that the GI amounts don't really supplement the out-of-pocket maximum for under 65. I think Seth said it a few times in here. It's to help control some of them out-of-pocket costs and those bigger exposures to that out-of-pocket cost. I really, if you want to be completely comprehensive and covering out-of-pocket costs, whether it's under age 65 or over age 65, we're doing hospitalization or HospitalWise. And then I'm a firm believer, whether you're on a Medicare Advantage or a hospital or Medicare Advantage or a supplement plan, is having some kind of a critical illness or cancer, heart attack, stroke. Cancer is more prevalent now today than it's ever been. And it's one of the most costly things, maybe not always with just your health care, but the non-medical costs that are associated with it, whether it's travel, missed work, or different things like that. So having a critical illness plan in conjunction with this is super important. I think you need to be able to offer that as well. So maybe we need to line up a CI-wise one as well here too, Seth, so they can understand about your cancer-wise also.
Yeah, love to.
Let's see here. We've got a bunch of questions. I've answered a few of them through the chat. So once again, just to reiterate the pre-X, it is a 6-month pre-X. So that means anything that they currently have, whether they know it or not, if they were to have a claim in that first 6-month period, essentially, Surebridge is going to ask for, probably physician's notes and things like that. And if it's an existing condition, it's not going to be covered. After the 6 months, as long as they were truthful in the application, you're going to be good to go. Surebridge is going to pay the claim, right, Seth?
Yep, that's right. Accidents are covered immediately. Also, health conditions, if it's not a pre-X, are covered immediately as well. But for example, and I hate using this example, but it's like if you have cancer, right? That's and and obviously you're getting treated for it. If you were hospitalized for cancer during those first 6 months, you wouldn't receive any benefits. But in 6 months and 1 day, then you would be eligible for benefits based on that pre-X. So it's the same whether you go GI or simplified issue. It's 6 months look back for the first 6 months of the plan for health conditions.
Absolutely. Seth, talk a little bit about how this plan pays out regarding to the client. I mean, it's an indemnity plan. Do they offer any kind of coordination where they would actually pay a provider directly, or is it paid directly just to the policyholder?
And that's a great question. So a couple things. Number one is this plan does not coordinate. And so the client would be responsible to pay the provider and then submit the claim, and then we pay the actual client. But one of the advantages of that is that if something is covered by the Medicare Advantage plan or the core medical plan, our plan still pays. And so we see a lot of, for example, 5-day co-pays. And, a lot of times we bump that up to the 6-day, benefit period. And so if they're hospitalized on that 6th day, even though their MA plan would kick in, they'd still receive the benefit. So it doesn't coordinate, and we will always pay the benefit, even if it's paid or covered by the core medical.
Absolutely. And that brings up a good point. I mean, we've got a lot of agents that, have never sold a hospital indemnity plan before, and, they're getting into it and they're realizing the benefit and the payout for their client. In these Medicare Advantage plans, they change year to year. Your ACA plans, they'll change what you'll have for an out-of-pocket maximum if you got to switch them. Always, present that not only with just the right-on dollar amount of $300 a day for days 1 through 5 or whatever it is. It's a lot of times pennies on the dollar to jump that up $50, $100 more, $200 more to max that plan out so that they get more of a benefit. Adding on that lump sum up front too as well. So make sure you're presenting that that's there, not just the exact dollar amount. Let's see here. There's a question on scope of appointments. That's really not Surebridge's thing, but here at Western Marketing, scope of appointments, yes, we actually have a complete online enrollment platform that we utilize for prescription drug plans and MAPDs. Not to mention, you probably heard the buzz around that if you're doing phone sales, you actually have to have that recorded. We do have a system and a solution for that. What I'll do is I'll actually put that at the bottom of the email that I send out to you guys. We're actually doing trainings every day this week. Tyler's doing them today, tomorrow. I'm doing them on Thursday and Friday. So hop onto that. We'll show you the system and show you guys how you guys can be compliant and doing the scope appointments, email, text. It's pretty neat deal. I think we kind of touched on this a little bit. It's asking whether this plan is someone on original Medicare or Medicare Advantage. Which one would you offer that more to? I'd say it's geared more towards Medicare Advantage to fill those gaps in coverage. Doesn't mean that you can't sell it to somebody on original Medicare, like say on a plan N, or maybe a high deductible F or a high deductible G plan would be a good opportunity for them too. I'll reach out to you there, whoever. I can't see who asked that, but we'll talk a little bit about strategy on that one. Let's see here. More questions. Perfect. We got a lot of people interested in contracting. This is a good question. Are all benefits annual benefits? So on a policy year basis, a calendar year basis, is it per period of care? Is there a restoration? Talk to me a little bit about that, Seth.
Yeah, so that's where it gets a little bit confusing. A lot of the benefits are based per calendar year. Okay, so that would be most of the riders. The one exception to that is the nursing home rider. That is per period of care. So basically what that means is that hospital rider, they have to actually get out to reset that. So it'd be 60 days, does have a reset period for that. For the daily benefit, that is per calendar year, and there's also a 60-day reset for that as well. So what I mean by that is like if you have 3 days, you're in the hospital for 3 days, and then you're out for 60 days, you would be eligible for another 3-day benefit in that scenario. So Perfect. It kind of depends, but like most of the riders are going to be calendar year, like it's 4 visits to the ER per calendar year.
Gotcha. Perfect. A question on state availability wise, Illinois, Virginia, Oregon. It looks like those are filed for the GI. Are we just waiting on state DOI to approve that?
Yes. So we are trying to get those approved. Illinois is a big one. I'm just going to be candid. We're not going to roll out anymore this AEP, and so what you see up on the screen there is what you're going to get. But we are trying to get those approved. We didn't get the go ahead from the DOI in time to have it before AEP. But yes, the ones in white probably not going to have product there. So the pink ones, there's hope. White ones, we don't even have the simplified issue approved there. So.
Perfect. Is there, on the simplified issue product, is there any COVID questions?
No COVID
I didn't see anything on there. Okay,
nope.
No COVID questions. Perfect. Talk a little bit about premium payment. What options do we have?
Yep, premium payments. I mean, there's monthly, quarterly, semi-annual, annually. Candidly, there is no discount for going annually versus monthly. It's just monthly times 12. So there's no, discount there. We can pay credit card, we can pay bank draft, and so those would be the payment options.
Gotcha. Perfect. Yeah, that question just got answered. Yes, Leslie, that is correct. Your question, I'll reach out to you on that directly as well. Training, do agents still need to complete training before they're ready to sell?
Yeah, so we do have training that agents are required to complete. Basically, the way that it works is that, first of all, you have to complete it when you newly contract with us. And what it is it's about 50 slides that you have to click through, and then at the end of it, there's a simple 10-question quiz that you have to complete as well. So that's what it consists of. You can go through the slides as you can spend as much time on them as you want, but you do need to do that when you first contract. And then we do require that on an annual basis. It's the same training. Basically, you're assigned to it every 300 days after you complete it the last time. So it is what it is. It's not going away. We just want to make sure that we're very clear that when you're selling these plans, you're making sure you separate coverage. Probably the biggest complaints we get is from clients saying, hey, I didn't sign up for this. And so, that training is just really geared to making sure that you are separating coverage and not saying, hey, this is part of your plan, right? You're making sure it's separate from whatever core plan you're selling. So that's the way the training does work. Yep, but it is still out there. So
That's all right. That's good to be able to keep everybody up to date on what the products you guys have for Surebridge and making sure that everybody's compliant as well.
Yep.
Commissions, I will send out a commission schedule to everybody that's on this call as well, or the webinar for you. You guys advance 6 months, is that correct?
Yep.
Yep. So we got a 6-month advance. I mean, that's just dependent on background and everything like that, whether that will go through. And then commission payment. How often do we pay?
Yep. We pay twice a week. And so we cycle runs on Tuesday and Thursday.
So that's pretty important. I mean, during AEP, obviously, a lot of people that have had prior AEPs, we're not getting paid for those clients until January, February or so, depending on when the carriers actually want to release those funds for the Medicare Advantage plans. So it's a great way for you guys to keep a little bit of dollars in your pocket and keep funding yourself throughout AEP while you guys are doing all that hard work. I'm going to take back controls real quick here and just kind of put our information up. We'll put it there. All right. So you guys will get like I said, you guys will get a email from me. It'll have a link here to request a contract. You can fill out your information. Just put, you want to be able to get contracted with Surebridge, whether you want it advanced or as earned on there as well. And then we can basically send you a link for Surebridge. It's an online contract, really simple to do. Appointments are coming back pretty quick from Surebridge too, even with this new product rollout. So we should be able to get you up and going and ready to sell prior to AEP. Like Seth said, let's get you familiar. Let's get you training done with this. Let's show you how to present these products. Work on your sales presentation together here. Any of our marketers here at Western Marketing can help you out with that. So if you guys need or have additional questions, our number is 800-852-7152. It's the top left of the screen. Like I said, it'll take a little bit. I'm going to download a recording of this and send it out to you guys as well, probably about a half an hour, 40 minutes or so. And you guys will get all this information, how to contract, and then, of course, the recording of the webinar, and then some other good things about Western Marketing and who we are and what we do. So I'm going to check one more time, make sure there's not any other questions. Yes, reporting commissions. Looks like we have everything that's there. There's a couple questions that weren't answered. Don't worry, I will give you a personal phone call here in the next 20, 30 minutes, and we'll get you all taken care of. Seth, my man, I appreciate you as always. Thanks for presenting this to our agents. And I hope everybody has a great day. Happy AEP coming up in about 25 days.
Sounds good. Thanks.
All right. Have a good day.